Yeah, it's wild. It's only been 2 weeks since World Champs in Scotland, but it feels like a little bit longer. But we're approaching kind of a cool block of 3 weeks in a row for downhill racing, and then also Enduro and XC. But yeah, we're just kind of getting back into this last European block, and then in the future still thinking ahead of the North American rounds.
And will people be making changes to their setup, or will it be just kind of what they know?
I think it's great because today it's still wild. We got juniors practicing today, actually riding, and then the elites will go track walk for downhill. And so people will change setup. Weather-wise, I don't think that's going to play much of a factor this week. Suspension-wise, yeah, I think we've been coming here. You know, last year it's a different track, so we'll change some stuff up, but not too drastic.
The main thing at the moment is it's like purpose built for racing, so there aren't many of these in existence, and it's all designed around feedback from the range DH, which we had before, which is essentially a modified trail bike, so a different linkage and a long stroke shock to enable more travel, whereas this is ground up designed as a downhill race bike. So yeah, purpose built, a lot of adjustability built in with it. So we have adjustable rear center length, so I think we have 5 different sizes of rear center length, and to match that we have different reach adjust headset cups as well. And then one of the coolest things is adjustable progression in the bike, so without having to change other shock settings we can adjust the progression of the leverage ratio through the travel, which is awesome for different tracks and different feel from the riders. And we were able to get there very, very quickly with the help of the engineers when they introduced this bike.
I'm Maxim, we are in the Andorra World Cup, and I'm a head mechanic for the Muc-Off team. There will be a few changes, you know, like the track are completely different, the rhythm is completely different also, you know, like this track is half the time of the Fort William track, so you can ride like a slightly different bike. Weather is completely different, it's super dry and dusty, so like tire wise and suspension we will change some stuff. Basically keep a bit the same, you know, like recipe. Just adjust for here. We just adjust a bit like how we want the spring to work, you know, like the air spring and stuff, just like some adjustment. Shock, we have a different setting for this kind of temperature also. For Commencal, we are home, just like the office are like 5 minutes from here, so yeah, that's a home race.
So, can you tell me how the development of this bike is going?
Pretty positive so far. Everyone that's on it, like Jenna's only just got on this recently after coming back from an injury. So I think kind of the big change for, like the main kind of overall change is just having a smaller rear wheel. So this one's a mullet, which is just so much more manoeuvrable, especially for like a smaller person, someone like Jenna. Definitely helpful. And then just how it tracks the ground, so much kind of smoother throughout everything, but still kind of has a lot of support in its mid-stroke. It's really keeping them happy on the track basically. And I think definitely this weekend in Andorra it's going to be rough, so I think it should be working quite well hopefully. We've got a few kind of options of changes that we can make just with like progressive links and this and that, and just sussing out kind of chainstay sizes and everything, but it's just kind of dialing it down into then what will be for production eventually.
Yeah, well, this is a new bike after he's won the Worlds. Obviously everything gold anodised for Charlie. All the wheels are getting pimped, rainbow on everything more or less.
So this is his reward for winning World Champs then, right?
Yeah, that's the one. He came in yesterday, didn't have an idea it's been made, so good surprise for him I think.
Phil, is he looking forward to riding here?
Oh yeah, they're all up there now, track walking, so they'll be buzzing.
Quelle ville?
Est-ce que, deuxième question, est-ce que Shimano veut dans son jus? Ah, ok, et du coup le choc, quel âge je le mettrai là? Et je pense qu'on...
So Gwin, you're back, but you're not back.
We're kind of back. We're back at the races, just not back on the track.
So what's the update on your injury?
It's going really good. It's just been it's been a tough one, like for sure. It's surgery was more complicated than we hoped, and they had to mess with some tendons and stuff, so that always just pushes the heal time back a lot. But yeah, everything, they were really happy with how it went together, and I just had my 9-week follow-up right before we came here, and everything looks really good. So like the spacing of the bone, everything's like perfect. So they're really happy. I've been in PT like 4 days a week pretty much since the 2nd week after surgery, and just working really hard on it. So I'm really close to having like full range of motion back. Kind of got cleared last week to start doing some like more traditional type of strength work. So now I just got to build the strength back and just kind of continue to be careful with it. But it seems like everything's kind of tight again. So now it's just getting the strength back. So I can do like 10-pound bicep curls. So I feel pretty good about myself.
So Mark Morrison, we're here with Pinky's bike. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
It's a new Fury. It's a beautiful bike. Riders are really happy with it. Mechanics are happy with it. It's easy to work on. Doesn't need many tweaks or this or that like it used to in the past. So yeah, we love it.
So you don't need to make any special adjustments that you might have been doing in the past?
The Dremel days from the 90s are definitely over, I think. There's not so much going on these days, and these bikes don't need much tweaking. You can always do little things here and there if you really want to push it a step ahead, but I don't think they really make much difference. So they're so good. These bikes are so dialed at the moment.
So Aaron Poltari, you've got Troy's bike behind you.
I do.
Can you tell us a little bit about the setup, specifically the brakes?
The brake setup, yeah. So, I don't know. A lot of people run 220 front and 200 rear. It's kind of like a thing that's come from motocross, really. So, here we tend to run a 200 on the front and a 220 on the rear. So we kind of swap it around. It's got a lot to do with front wheel traction under braking. Basically, having a bigger rotor on the front gives more power, and then yeah, Troy doesn't necessarily like that, so he ended up tucking the front a few times because of it. So we ended up putting the smaller rotor on the front and leaving the bigger rear rotor because he wants more rear braking performance. So yeah, that's basically why.
And he runs it everywhere?
Runs it everywhere. Sometimes we tag out to a 200 on the rear because of rock strikes. So that's basically, yeah, the only reason we would change it.
I'm Woody and I'm Jackson's mechanic, so I'm just prepping and big service on the bike he's had at home for the last sort of week or two, at home and then Andorra, since I'd like 2 weeks of not much love. So prepping that and then getting that ready for him to get going.
This is going to be Jackson's spare bike?
That's it, yeah. So just because of the new format now, we all run race bike and a spare bike, just like worst comes to the worst. If they have to jump onto a second setup, like they always try and stay on the main bike. But yeah, I'm just going to get this, so it's back in some good nick, and then it'll race on the world's bike there.
So Jackson Goldstone, you're back in business?
Back in town, yeah.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, not too bad. The whole recovery process took a bit longer than I was expecting. That's why I was missing out on World Champs. But yeah, back for Andorra, and yeah, feeling good again. So I'm stoked to be racing. Yeah, still missing about a few pounds of weight from what I was at before. But yeah, it's not bothering me, and I still feel strong enough to ride and stuff. So yeah, we're good.
So how much weight did you actually lose after your operation?
So I was weighing in around 63 kilos to start, and then I weighed myself at my lowest at 51. So I lost 12 kilo, and I've probably put about 10 back on. So it's been yeah, interesting one.
Wow. All right, dude. Have a good one this week.
Yep.
In a bit.
Yeah, bye.